Returning to our top story, Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to have a brief meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump tomorrow. This after U.S. Trade Rep Jamieson Greer told Politico that Trump could decide next year to withdraw from the Canada-U.S.-Mexico Trade Agreement, or CUSMA. And joining me now is Flavio Volpe, President of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association. Flavio, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you testified before the U.S. Trade Representative today as part of their review of CUSMA. What was your message, and did you get the sense that you got it across?
Well, what I tried to do here was to bring data, and we used U.S. census numbers and USTR numbers to say Canada is the biggest customer for U.S. automotive, both in cars and light trucks, heavy trucks, and in auto parts. You know, we import $29 billion worth of U.S. auto parts every year into the cars that we make. And so not only are we your biggest customers, but we put them into the cars that we make. The cars that Donald Trump has been targeting are 50% American content as of 2024, up from 38 when the USMCA started in 2019. You know, we try our best in these opportunities when we're with senior officials to talk just from data, not to argue our case and say that our feelings have been hurt, but to put across the point that if you try to hurt Canada and automotive, you hurt Detroit, and it doesn't make sense.
What about reports today that Trump could decide to withdraw from CUSMA? What effect would that have on businesses on both sides of the border?
Well, I think we know that the effect would be very harsh. But, you know, when I was a much younger man in the first Trump term, I remember that he frequently threatened the same thing. And he does this to pressurize negotiations. What we heard from the 150 witnesses that are here for these 3 days is an overarching theme that the USMCA works for American interests. And please don't change that. That's manufacturing, advanced technology, movement of labor, and investment in innovation. Those are Americans telling the government to not ruin their prospects. Me, I was the only Canadian industrial sector rep. And what we said was, look, listen to the Americans.
Now, Carney will be meeting with Trump briefly tomorrow. How high or low are your expectations surrounding that meeting?
Well, I think with Donald Trump, I think we've all learned that relationships matter. And there are some times when he wakes up and he feels creative and he wants to move things forward, depending on where all the other fires that he's lit have gone. I think it's an important context tomorrow. The U.S. and Canada and Mexico are co-hosting the #1 cultural sports event in the world, the FIFA World Cup. And so they'll be there together as partners on the global stage. And usually in these things, you get a chance to have a pull-aside conversation. I think it's a good temperature check. I think the president will have been briefed to hear that the prime minister is very busy on Canadian industrial policy and talking to other world leaders. He's probably going to be curious about it. And I think the prime minister would be well advised not to push the president in one direction or another in the middle of a soccer tournament draw.
All right, Flavio, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for this. Appreciate your time with us this evening.
Thank you.
That is Flavio Volpe, President of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association.